What's going on, Black Speakers Network family? Welcome to another BSN Speaker Spotlight segment. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Oles, founder and president here at Black Speakers Network, where our mission, of course, is to equip, connect, and inspire the next generation of Black professional speakers. If you're watching this live, go ahead and give us a hashtag BSN in the comments on whatever platform you're watching, because we're super excited that you're here. And this is going to be an incredible session. If you're not familiar, the BSN Speaker Spotlight series is something that we created to be able to highlight, to shine a literal spotlight on the incredible experts that we have far and across the Black Speakers Network community. So today you're going to hear from 4 experts across multiple areas of expertise. And if you're not familiar with Black Speakers Network, and maybe you're looking for the next speaker for your next stage, whether in person, virtual, we have speakers all across the country every single week showing up at conferences, workshops, seminars, podcasts, TEDx talks, and so much more. And so if you're looking for your next speaker, you might just find them today right here on the BSN Speaker Spotlight. Obviously, we have tons of episodes in the past for you to watch as well, but the speakers that we have here today are locked and loaded. And so I'm really excited to introduce you to them in a moment. And there are 2 important links right underneath that I want to call your attention to. The first is our BSN Speaker Directory. We have hundreds of speakers in multiple areas of expertise, and every single speaker that you're going to hear from today is listed on a directory. And so if you hear from somebody and you're thinking like, wow, I would love to get in contact with them, I would love to bring them on my podcast, I would love to learn more about their products and programs, you can find them on the speakers directory. That's blackspeakersnetwork.com/find a speaker. And you could type in their name and that will take you to their website. You can read their bio, connect with them on social media, and find out more information about what it is that they're doing. And secondly, if right now you are a speaker and you're thinking, wow, like I would love to increase my visibility, I would love to connect to a broader audience, heck, I would love to be interviewed on a future BSN Speaker Spotlight, we are looking for speakers now. And so if that is you, definitely make sure, number one, you get connected with Black Speakers Network as a community, but every single member, every single person that you're hearing from today is what we call a BSN Premium member. And so if you want to learn more about what it takes to become a BSN Premium member and get access to opportunities like this, make sure you head over to blackspeakersnetwork.com/join. Keep it super simple and get connected. And so that's all my announcements. I'm ready to jump right into the interviews because listen, I know the individuals that you're going to hear from, you're going to learn a lot. You might think 5 minutes isn't a lot of time, and it's not, but it's going to give you an opportunity to just get a taste of the expertise that we have here in BSN. But every time I do one of these, I always learn something, always walk away inspired, and I'm always walking away a little more curious about a topic that I want to go a little bit deeper in. And so I'm gonna head on over to my first speaker. And as I mentioned, the great thing about this is that we have folks from all across the country. And so our first speaker is from actually right up the road from me. I'm out right outside of Baltimore. He is in Abingdon, Maryland, and that is Mr. Michael K. Jackson in the building. Michael, I want to welcome you to BSN Speaker Spotlight. And if you don't mind, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Brian. Let me first say that I congratulate you on the success of BSN. Black man to black man, I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank
And
you. I appreciate that, man. You've been around for a minute, so you've
a
seen
minute.
the progression.
Absolutely. So I had to get that out of the way. So about me, before I say anything else professionally, first and foremost, I'm a husband. I'm a father of 4 daughters, and I'm a man of faith. Professionally, as founder and CEO of Michael K. Jackson International, I'm on a mission to inspire, empower, and equip purpose-driven leaders all over the world to bounce back from setbacks and build back stronger from stress and adversity.
Love it. Absolutely love it, man. So let's dive a little bit more into that because it's not every day you get to talk to someone who is, well, one, I know you're a master trainer, but specializing in this area of, emotional resilience, helping people bounce back. And so if you could frame a definition like the word like emotional resilience, like what does that mean? And how do you help people achieve that?
Absolutely. So, textbook definition of resilience is really the ability to cope and adapt well to various stressors, adversity, trauma in your life. That's simply it. There are various definitions of it, but that's the standard definition.
Perfect. Good stuff, man. So I always like to dive back because I know there's a more interesting story attached to this. I don't think you just wake up one day, Michael, and like, you know what? I want to be a resilience trainer. And so could you share some insight on how you actually arrived in this space? Like, what was that journey like, and how did you get to this area of expertise?
Sure, Brian. So the way this journey came about was really through tragedy. Uh, in 2017 September, I grew up in St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands. Some of your audience might remember that that was a bad hurricane year. Hurricane Irma and Maria swept through the Virgin Islands, practically destroyed St. Thomas, and took my father with it. And that was the beginning of this journey about examining my life, all the things that I've been through and have been able to overcome. And that, long story short, sparked this journey of creating this company to use my public speaking skills to affect change in people's lives and help them essentially build back stronger from stress and adversity.
Yeah, and I mean, first of all, I didn't know that. That was a very powerful story, and so I think, what an incredible legacy that you're here. With your dad having gone through such a horrific time. I do remember those storms, and so um, it's very rare that you meet somebody. I feel like we kind of take it for granted in the speaker world, but not everybody is able to turn like tragedy into not only heal from that tragedy, but then go out and actually be able to reach out and help bring other people through similar devastating like life situations. So I definitely commend you for that, Michael. Um,
Thank you, Brian.
I, I would love to learn more about. So I feel like this is a topic that's really ubiquitous. Sometimes we're often like, who's your target audience or who the people that you serve, and obviously everybody has has gone through something. But tell us a little bit about who are the people that you love working with. Who are the people that you find yourself particularly called to serve?
Sure, because as you know, Brian, this message of resilience and overcoming adversity, is applicable, particularly in these times, to practically everybody. But as we know as speakers, we have to have our niche and our focus audience. So for me, I'm really talking to people like myself, uh, professionals either in business or in government, that are experiencing various stresses in their life. So I'm speaking to, generally speaking, to business leaders and government leaders of various stripes.
Awesome, good stuff. And yeah, you're right. I mean, right now, I mean, there's never there's never a global pandemic or not. There's never a season, particularly for leaders and organizations right now that are trying to, deal with mergers, acquisitions, creating market value. Like they're constantly under pressure. We always hear about like
Absolutely.
executive compensation and how much folks are kind of making at the top, but we never hear about that emotional cost and tools and strategies to actually survive at that level. So I'm glad that you're focusing on that. Um, what is so we're as we wrap up, what is the most important thing, Michael, that you want your audience, the people, these leaders across business, government, what's the most important thing that you want people to remember about you and the work that you're doing?
The most important thing is to have a plan, and there's an acronym behind that we have no time to get into, but that's really my 4-step process, a blueprint really for building resilience. If you want to build anything, if you want to rebuild anything after it's destroyed, you start with a plan and you start with blueprints. So remember to implement your plan.
How long is the acronym? 'Cause we might have time for it. Is it is it
So
plan?
it's a plan. It's a 4-step
Go for it.
process.
Go for it.
So step
Just
number
real
one
quick.
is
Yep.
step number one, P for practice prayer and meditation. Step number two, L for lean in and listen for the lesson. Step number three, act accordingly. And step number four, notate your mind state. Wish we
Perfect.
had more time.
Yeah, look, we getting into it, man. First of all, leadership development is a huge part of what we're focused on here, and it's a conversation that never goes away. I don't hear a lot of people talking about emotional resilience, which is why I'm so excited that you done exactly, I think, what the purpose of this interview is to spark curiosity, spark conversation, and get people reaching out to you. And so if that's sparking for you, resonating, please make sure you connect with Michael K. Jackson. The only Michael K. Jackson in BSN is right there, blackspeakersnetwork.com/find a speaker. But we're going to find some forums to go deeper into this topic, Michael. But I want to thank you for sharing today. And then, of course, thanks for being part of the Black Speakers Network community. I'm excited to continue working with you.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, BSN family.
All right. Listen, there you have it. We are rocking and rolling. Black Speakers Network Speaker Spotlight interviews. You just heard from Michael K. Jackson, and so that's the thing that I'm excited about when it comes to learning about these different topics. We literally have experts on mental health, leadership, technology, you name it, and so you really get a little masterclass watching this, watching these speakers. But what I'm going to encourage you to do, whether you're watching live on the replay, you may be thinking of somebody that really needs to connect with some of the speakers that you're hearing too. And so feel free to tag this, share this video, make sure you get it in the hands of the people that can actually benefit from it as well. So I'm actually get to stay right here in Maryland because our next speaker is here in the great state of Maryland too. He's over in Brandywine, Maryland, and that is my guy, Mr. Juan Lee. And Juan, I want to welcome you to BSN Speaker Spotlight, speaker number 2. And if you don't mind, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Brian. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. My name is Juan Lee. I'm a transformational speaker, thought leader in the power of love, and author of Love Made Simple. And I'm the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called Clear Journey, where we demonstrate the practical applications of love through education, helping you to navigate your life experience to reach your full potential.
Very good, very good. And Juan, I understand you're also a quite decorated Air Force veteran as well. And so I want to thank you for your service in that regard.
Hey, I wouldn't have had it any other way. I appreciate it. That's been a tremendous part of my understanding and grasping this experience that I've gained through love.
Yeah. So let's talk about that because it's not very often that you find someone who is a teacher and an expert on not, we sometimes think about romantic love, but love as a principle. So tell us a little bit about how you arrived at that point and how you came to focus on us.
Well, thanks. That's absolutely true. That's one of the big challenges and the things that I confronted as I was growing up, and that was that I didn't understand what love was really. And it's more to it than a feeling. And what I've learned over the years is that love is a system that allows us to connect with one another as humans. We are connected through love. And so what that was is that I learned in the military of all places that you've got to have certain attitudes to be able to apply to hook into certain systems. And that's what love is a system for humanity to be able to protect and preserve humanity from generation to generation. And when you get that understanding and have that attitudes that are necessary for you to demonstrate love to one another, it allows us to be successful, not only individually, but collectively. And that's where Love Made Simple, my book, came into play, whereas that I made it simple to understand that it's not meant to be confusing, because we all have the ability and the capacity to love. It's just what's our motivation to love. And in the military, I learned our motivation was that we were to protect and preserve humanity, or the United States of America. That was our charge. And we all had the exact same mission. No matter where we were as individuals, we had to collectively come together for that, to accomplish that mission. And that was a big order. And from where I came from, it was even bigger. I mean, because I have a learning disability, and that was something that I did not know when I was entering into the military. And so it was because they were allowing me to find my identity that allowed me to find my place, so that I could fit the system, get into the system, so that I could be able to understand my value. And so love was that thing that, even outside of the military, I began to realize that there was always something bigger than myself. And that's what humanity is. We are a part of something bigger than ourselves, and love is what we use to connect to it.
One of the things that and thank you for that definition, that really, again, have never heard it framed that way. This definition of love that you have. One of the things I love also is that you are pretty unapologetic about your faith. I know that you've not only been a Christian, but you've also studied organized religion for a few decades. And so what lessons or insights have you distilled from that journey of actually studying organized religions that help you better understand this topic of love?
Well, the thing about it is that I've learned that love is universal. And my faith is, as a Christian, how I reached that conclusion was that I have gotten there through my faith in Jesus Christ. Okay, but that is my journey. When I say love is something that is bigger than any one faith. It's greater. And so we all fall under the covenant or the umbrella of humanity. And so when I began to delve into the various types of religions, I found that we had something in common. And that was that we all had humanity in common. And when we use love as the vehicle, that conduit that connects us one to another, we all are successful, without and no matter what our current individual beliefs are.
Absolutely. So much I could ask about this topic. One of the things I would love to make sure that folks realize, because again, like some of our other topics that we talk about here on the Spotlight, this is something that's ubiquitous. It kind of touches everybody. And so for the meeting planners out there, the folks that are listening, can you give some insight on the type of audiences that you are most interested in getting in front of? What organizations, what type of people are you most passionate about serving in this season?
Well, a part of I'm the executive director of Clear Journey. And what we do is we deal with teens and young adults as it relates to giving them a good start, as it relates to understanding how to navigate life with the various principles of love, the attitudes that are necessary to manage. But as you know, it transcends any particular stage. No matter what area you are, what stage of life you're in, love is the concept or the attitudes that we understand. It reaches everybody. And the thing that really resonates is that love never fails. And when we begin to understand that, no matter what the challenges are that we're going through, whether it's life in general, love is the answer. And when we begin to apply the proper attitudes to the situations that we're confronted with, we win, every one of us. But it takes the ability for us to know how to understand when to apply the appropriate attitudes of love in the situation. And that's what it's all about, so that we can navigate life successfully with love.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're through the work that you're doing with Clear Journey, have a particular focus on young people, because I think that oftentimes it's not even a concept that we're talking about as teenagers, depending on your household or whatever. But most of the time, you're not talking about love. So I think it's and that's probably part of the issues that we see manifested. And so, Juan, we are out of time, but I do want to make sure that folks get a chance. We always end with this question, what is the most important thing that your audience, that you will want your people to remember about you? So if you could give us that answer, and then we will wrap this bad boy up. But this has been great.
Well, the one thing that I like to share with people is that to understand that, as we talked earlier, as I said earlier, love never fails. And until we understand and have the understanding of what that power is and the attitudes to apply it, that love is an action. It's something that we have to demonstrate. It's not something that's just, we say it and it's a feeling. It's something that we need to demonstrate. And the things that we talk about, the characteristics of love, is that we understand that it's a conduit that connects each and every one of us to one another. We can't do this thing called life by ourselves. We need each other. And that's what love allows us to do, is to connect to one another so that each and every one of us can be successful.
I love it. Juan, thank you so much. Listen, I need somebody to drop "love never fails" into the comments, unless you're driving. If you're driving, don't do it. Wait till later. But love never fails. I like that. And of course, the conversation does not end here. Please make sure that you connect with Mr. Juan Lee, Black Speakers Network /find a speaker. He is on our speakers directory. You can connect on his website, social media, and make sure that you are able to continue to advance this important conversation around love, because again, I don't hear enough people talking about this at all. So Juan, thank you so much. And of course, thanks for being a part of the Black Speakers Network community. I'm excited to continue working with you.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Guys, I'm not wasting any time. We are going to keep rocking and rolling, because we have 2 additional speakers left. And I know we have a few folks that always ask, a little bit about, what is Black Speakers Network? What do we get out of it? What does it mean to be a part of the community? And so before I go to our next 2 speakers, I'm going to share a little clip just so you can get a feel for the flavor of who we are, what we do, and the type of people that we serve. So
being a public speaker was one thing, but being a paid public speaker was an area where I needed support.
I have been invited as a guest on a local talk show. I have been featured in an online publication.
I have 3 shows under development, have 2 amazing keynote speaking opportunities coming up. And
we developed the confidence to produce our own 24-hour Love Each Other conference, and the BSN speakers showed up and showed out.
We all win together. We all grow together. I love BSN. I love the opportunities to work with so many people all across the world.
Go ahead and get connected, sign up, join, partner, sponsor, because BSN is helping speakers like me really build a speaking business.
All right, guys. So welcome back. If you're just jumping in, we are here at the Black Speakers Network Speaker Spotlight, doing 5-minute rapid fire interviews with experts from across the Black Speakers Network community. And I am super excited to jump on down. This is like the East Coast reunion. We had 2 Maryland, and now we're going to Virginia, which is really fun. Our next 2 speakers are also from Virginia. So coming up next, we have Ms. Carol from Arlington, Virginia. Carol, you are absolutely representing the parenting space, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you. But welcome to Black Speakers Network Speaker Spotlight. And if you don't mind, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me on this wonderful, powerful platform. As you said, I'm Carol Muleta. I'm creator of the Parenting 411, where we deliver information parents need from sources they can trust. It is truly my passion to guide parents on a journey to discover the joy in their journey by giving them a fresh approach to managing challenging behavior, to building strong parent-child communication, and creating lasting family connections. Aside from being a mom, I am certified as a parent educator as well as a parenting consultant.
Very cool, very cool. Now, here's the thing. I don't have kids, but I have experience in this topic because I used to be a kid. So I have a lot of questions about this, but you're a certified parenting strategist. And so I imagine right now, maybe, there are all different approaches to parenting. People have different philosophies. How was it that you decided, and I know you said you're a mom yourself, but what made you say, hey, I am going to, focus on helping other parents kind of master some of these topics that you're talking about?
Well, my journey does go back to my being a mom. I was an outnumbered, outmanned, overwhelmed mom of twin baby boys. And so I was coming from a career in corporate marketing and made the decision to stay home with my children for a little while. And during that first year, one of our sons was diagnosed with developmental delays. And so that set me off on a challenging yet fascinating journey to learn more about how children develop and what they need from their parents to grow and develop to reach to their full potential. And so along the way, I also became certified in parent education and consulting. And, very early on, God pretty much appeared to me in a dream and told me that this is my life's work. Like, I was pretty sure I was going back to corporate marketing or consulting, but he showed me that, in fact, his plan was for me to share with parents what I was learning.
I love that. I love that. Listen, when you get the call and you just, be obedient and you move forward, and I've seen your impact since the time you've been in BSN, and everybody that you ends up interviewing you or bring you on that platform, they always are just so blown away with your level of expertise. You mentioned some key components of things that you key in on. So, you talked about discipline, you talked about building lasting connections, but I want to dial into parent-child communication. Could you give some insight on what that could look like, should look like? Because I feel like there's not a lot of, obviously parenting doesn't come with a manual. You may have written one, but the kid doesn't come with a manual. So, what are some elements of that parent-child communication that you would like for folks to know, and how does that evolve, I guess, as your child, gets older?
Sure. Well, there are definitely some essential elements to that communication with your child and establishing that bond as early as you can. But it starts off with, first of all, being available and also being attentive. And next, really affirming their feelings, affirming what they're saying, and helping them to feel like what they have to say has value and meaning. And then go to the next step to inform and empower them to take agency in their lives. But it's really kind of a process. You really have to set a foundation with them to really connect with them. And that's something I also like to say to parents is connection always comes before correction. Connection is really at the center of it. You can't teach anybody anything if they don't feel connected to you and don't understand that you're coming to them for their good and from a place of love.
Listen, somebody drop connection before correction in the comments, and make sure you tag Carol too on that, because I think that's a powerful piece of wisdom that could save a lot of parents some frustration. So, Carol, I know that you are author, speaker, Can you give some insight to the types of organizations that you typically are speaking in front of, or the ones this year, next year that you enjoy getting in front of the most? I'm sure there are plenty of organizations that cater to parents, but they're probably also, I mean, if you're talking to any audience, there's probably a healthy cross section of parents in there. But from your perspective, who are those audiences that you value the most getting in front of right now?
Well, I'm pretty excited. I talked to a variety of audiences. When I first started out, I talked a lot to schools and organizations that serve children, but then they wanted to provide some programming for the parents. But now I've really branched out. Corporations have asked me to come in to speak to their employee resource groups, and also business forums, business conferences, because as you said, so many people within those organizations are parents. And it's just very important for organizations to recognize the full extent of their employees' lives. They are workers, they are employees in the organization, but they do have other concerns outside of the workplace. They are parents. And so I am really enjoying that opportunity to go in and provide this essential resource so that parents have the tools they need to parent their children and nurture their children and still feel confident when they go to the workplace and scale up their career. I even have a course called Show Up As You Glow Up, which is geared toward women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I could totally see that. Particularly what you said about the ERGs. I know back when I was in corporate, there were any number. I think companies are starting to realize more and more that if they want to have healthy workplace cultures, if they want to increase employee retention, if they want to make sure that they get the best from their people, that they need to embrace these topics that are going to help people, actually give them tools and resources that are going to actually help them do that. And so I'm so excited that you're getting to you're broadening your scope and getting in front of increasingly more audiences from that capacity, because you are absolutely right. We are out of time, as it happens very often here in the Speaker Spotlight. But before we go, I do want to give you a chance to get the last word with our final question. Carol, what is the most important thing that you will want your audience to remember about you and the work that you're doing?
Well, I want people to know that I am an eternal optimist, and I say very often in the programs that I lead that it's never too late to be the parent that you want to be. And it is my prayer that my life and my work show evidence that I enrich the lives of children by touching the lives of their parents first.
There you go. Listen, Parenting 411 is in the building. I feel like you're a 411 call. Sometimes, if parents are in distress, you're probably parenting 911 and, all the extensions. But listen, Carol, I really appreciate you sharing with us. If you want to connect with her, please make sure that you go to blackspeakersnetwork.com/find-a-speaker. And listen, it is super, super important that we continue to up-level our skills. And, I know for a fact that parenting is not easy. And so for people that think they got to walk this journey alone, that there's no resources, you found one right here in BSN. So Carol, thank you for what you do. And thanks for being part of the Black Speakers Network community.
Thank you so much, Brian.
You are welcome. All right, guys, we are rocking and rolling. So far, we've heard from Mr. Michael K. Jackson. He told us all about, gave us some insight on what it means to be emotionally resilient. We heard from Mr. Juan Lee, giving us a really powerful definition of love and showing us how love never fails. We just heard from Carol, and we have parenting resources here in the Black Speakers Network community. And now our final speaker, as I mentioned, as a teaser, is also in the great state of Virginia. And I know that because I went down and spent some time with on the BSN tour, and I ate some really good food outside at midnight. But Mr. YB Youngblood is here. Richmond, Virginia is in the building. Rob, welcome to BSN Speaker Spotlight. And if you don't mind, tell the people a little bit about yourself, my brother.
All right. Peace and blessings, everyone. BSN family, Rob YB Youngblood, the HBCU alumni connector. Some of you may know me as the LinkedIn locksmith, but because I graduated from the greatest HBCU in the nation, Brian might not say that, but I could say that, Virginia Union University, I feel comfortable with promoting the fact that I increase the visibility, credibility, profitability, and wealth of HBCU alumni while also connecting them back to their alma maters. And yeah, that's a little bit about myself, Brian.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. Yeah, Morgan State University would definitely have something to say about that. But regardless, I think you're filling a gap in a space that's really well needed, because I think sometimes, man, you go to an HBCU and there's so much pride attached to that. Even if you don't pledge a fraternity or sorority, that's a title that you carry proudly. We know that's a title that you carry proudly forever, man. And so, but often it can be hard to kind of connect with those networks. So I'm glad you're doing that work. What is it that's unique about the HBCU experience, in your opinion, and why? What about that inspired you to set off on this journey of being that alumni connector?
Yeah, so let me start with that first, right? Because what I find is that there's so many people that have graduated from HBCUs, but if you ask them if they're still connected, they may only talk about their homecoming experience, right? And so what I found was that there was a major gap. If you look at the statistics, the amount of giving amongst HBCU alums across the board is relatively low. Now, you may have some schools that are doing tremendous when it comes to fundraising and getting their alumni to support, but as a whole, our numbers are low. So what I wanted to do was to kind of flip this notion of asking people to give. I learned a long time ago, you can't ask someone to do something before you serve them. So you have to serve people first. So being the HBCU alumni connector, I'm focusing on how can I add value to HBCU alums first, right? And then being able to help them to do the things that will enhance their visibility, their credibility, their profitability, their wealth, which then allows for them to be a greater resource for their HBCUs. Nowadays, most people are very transformational. I go to the barbershop, I get a haircut, I give the barber my money, they gave me a haircut, right? That's the end of the transaction. If the barber came to me and said, hey, I need you to give, to give me some song and dance, like I need you to give to my foundation, I'm like, listen, that's not even. I gave you my money. And that's how most alumni feel. They feel like, listen, I paid this money. I might be still paying this money because of student loans. Why are you asking me to give? So instead of organizations as such as our HBCUs asking people to give, I am looking to change the tide to show HBCUs how to engage their alums by saying, how can we serve you? How can we add value to you? Because if you add value first, when that person grows in whatever their endeavor, they will not forget you. They will be indebted to you. And I'm focusing on teaching organizations and individuals how to do that.
Now, I believe there are about 100 plus HBCUs across the country right now that are serving some of the oldest institutions that have deep historic roots and ensuring that African Americans had access to education, and now even with expanded access, still play a very important role. How do you see like the HBCU landscape shifting? Because I feel like, you mentioned student loans, you mentioned, there's a push for, education to be free across the board, et cetera. But, we keep hearing, different stats, Black women specifically being, one of the more educated groups across the entire country, if not the most educated. So like, how do you see like the landscape shifting, and like what should we be thinking about, like as alum, me coming being out almost 20 years, crazy, what should we be kind of thinking about from that regard?
Yeah, so a few things. Number one, with the onset of George Floyd's death, people are now looking at ways to support Black organizations, right? HBCUs at the forefront. You have a resurgence of this HBCU love, right? So, you and I, we grew up in the 80s and the 90s, right? Watching shows like A Different World and The Cosby Show, where, that was just prevalent, and that push for people going to HBCUs. And so now there's a resurgence in that. You have people like Deion Sanders that's really putting Jackson State on the map and all these other schools. But we as alumni, we shouldn't wait for, celebrities to help push our institutions. We are the constant factor in our organizations, right? So presidents change, staff change, students may come and go, and when they finish, they become alumni. So as alumni, we have to take ownership of the success of our institutions. Well, we can only do that when we invest our time, our talent, and our treasure. But before we get to that point, someone then should focus on investing in us. And so having that conversation to say, hey, listen, you may not be able to stroke a check, but you may be able to bring a new student to your alma mater. You may not be able to bring a student to your alma mater, but you may be able to invest an hour sharing your experience of how you made it through your undergraduate experience, and now you transition into a career, which could then spark an idea in a student, in a fellow alum, and therefore help them to increase their own visibility, credibility, and profitability. And so I think that the key is just understanding, how can we serve? See, getting money is easy, but can you make an impact? Income is easy, but can you make an impact? And so that's the goal that I'm pushing, to empower, inspire, and impact our alums to make an impact by investing their time, their talent, and their treasure back into their alma maters.
Makes sense. And so who do you want to connect with the most? Like, who's your dream contact on these college campuses? Are you talking to provosts? Do you want to talk to presidents? Are you trying to talk to, I know I'm assuming every college or university has some sort of alumni outreach in various states of effectiveness. But who is the kind of dream person that you would like to reach out to? Because I know as this goes out and, hundreds and hundreds of people even watch the replay of this, I just want to make sure that if there's a person that's on these college and university campuses that you may not have a connection to, that we could, be very clear about who those individuals are.
Yeah. So you ever heard of the Fantastic Four? You ever heard of Fantastic Four? So you had The Thing, you had, all these other things. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking for the Fantastic Four. So number one is the college president. So we have actually quite a few new HBCU presidents that I would love to be able to get in front of to share this vision. That's number one. Number two are the vice presidents of institutional advancement, right? Because what I feel is that within their realm, there's an opportunity to shift the message on how to reach our alumni. So that's number two. Number three are the directors of alumni relations or alumni engagement. And then number three are leaders within the alumni associations. Why? Because at this alumni association level, that is the outreach arm for an institution. I'm very active with the Virginia Union National Alumni Association. I'm the chair of our professional development team. And one of the things that we're doing is we're finding alumni who are willing to invest an hour. That hour then turns into a week. That week then turns into a student. That student then turns into a $10,000 gift. So what we realize is that if we can connect with those powerful four, those fantastic four, we can then create a greater movement that shifts the tide in terms of our ability to invest in education and invest in our HBCUs.
Love it, man. Powerful, powerful thing that's deeply rooted in the work that we're doing here organically with Black Speakers Network, man. So I'm looking forward to continuing to support that vision. We, of course, are out of time, but I do want to leave with the last word, which is what is it that most important thing, YD, that you want your audience, your people to remember about you and the work that you're doing?
I just want you to understand the 3 C's. Collaboration creates currency. Collaboration creates currency. So we have all of these things going on with the economic downturn, the quote unquote recession. But what I want you all to recognize is there is no recession when there's collaboration. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you that's under the sound of my voice, find a way to collaborate with your alma mater. Find a way to collaborate with your alumni association, because when you collaborate, you put yourself in a position to create currency.
Listen, collaboration creates currency, man. YB, you always dropping gems. No strangers to the Black Speakers Network stage, man. I appreciate you, and keep doing what you're doing, my brother. And if you want to connect with YB, if you are a HBCU alum, if you have connections to the Fantastic Four, or listen, if you're just if this conversation has kind of sparked you to kind of get re-energized around that alumni experience, make sure you connect with Rob, YB, Youngblood. I think the cool thing is, I think if you go to the directory and you just type YB, you got to come up. So that's the cool part about it, man. That's branding for you. But YB, I appreciate you, man. And thanks for being part of the Black Speakers Network community.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Brian. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, sir. All right, guys. Well, there you have it. Speaking of Fantastic Four, that was 4 individuals that you had a chance to hear from in this session of BSN Speaker Spotlight. We are doing these on Tuesdays now. As I mentioned before, if you are a speaker, if you are someone who is looking to enhance your visibility, get in front of more stages, get in front of a new audience, then I highly recommend that you get connected with the Black Speakers Network community at the premium membership level. BSN Premium is the thing that's actually going to unlock. You can hang out in the community all day long, but until you actually jump on over to the premium membership, not a lot is going to happen, because once you become a premium member, that's where you get access to all of the training. That's where you get access to the resources, and that's where you get access to speaking opportunities just like this. And so if that is you, I invite you to come along, and I would love to interview you on a future segment of the BSN Speaker Spotlight. And again, if you are a meeting planner of any sort, if you found a speaker here that you find interesting, make sure you connect. If you're not sure exactly who we have, feel free to go to our website, fill out a request form, and we will make sure we get you connected to the right speaker to take your event to the next level. So guys, we are done. I'm looking forward to another session in a few weeks. But until then, as we say here in BSN, keep speaking up, because your audience awaits, and we will see you on stage. Being at a HBCU like Morgan State University, I saw firsthand the talent, the expertise, the creativity that we bring to the table when it comes to this world of public speaking.
Black Speakers Network is a space where I can interact and engage with my tribe, with Black speakers.
It's all reflective of an abundance mindset that there is enough for all of us to win big.
BSN serves others not only in community, culture, but around the world.
BSN not only helped me book additional paid opportunities, but gave me the accountability and confidence booster I needed to really strive and thrive consistently in my business.
They curate all the engagements and email them to you. So all you have to do is simply click and apply to the one that's applicable for your niche.
I have built my business and have expanded my knowledge, met amazing people, and I have landed several speaking engagements.
I truly thank the entire team behind Black Speakers Network for helping me share my story with the world.
In less than 3 years, I was able to increase my visibility, my credibility, and even my connectivity.
What I experienced with BSN is phenomenal connections. And I've met so many great people that have added value to my life in ways I just wouldn't have expected.
If you want to speak on college stages, BSN has something for you. If you want to speak and sell, I feel like BSN has a cohort for you.
At the end of the day, Black Speakers Network is really there for anyone who is longing to reach the audience that they're called to serve.
Black Speakers Network truly is a place where you can feel like you're home.
If you are on the fence, get off the fence and join the family. You won't regret it.
It is the #1 organization that I recommend that every speaker become a member of if you really want to catapult your success and maximize to its fullest potential your voice.